Hello, Wilbert T. Sass, Omaha, Nebraska, at the Palace. My last video spoke about customer sharing and how customer sharing is a concept that I've developed in my business experience and background and business plan that allows customers to be the benefits that my business memberships approved members who have my use my approved business plan that join marketing advertising membership associates, one per zip code, and subcategorized restaurants. They have to be in separate zip codes and separate carrier routes and separate neighborhoods if there's more than one in any one of those segmented of populations in zip codes. I call them zip code cities, carrier route cities, and neighborhood cities. What this does is it allows the businesses to offer you as customers that live in those zip codes and in your zip codes and carrier routes and neighborhoods where you work, because when you're at work, you're not at home, and therefore you want to, if you're going to spend any money while you're at work, out to lunch or whatever, you want to be able to go to businesses that offer you benefits that you can't, valuable benefits that you can't get from other businesses. That's the essence of my business plan. And if you follow through on this, you'll see. And the bottom line is you end up saving about up to 50% across the board, not in every purchase, but across the board, because my business plan focuses on the reality of business. And that is that the way it is today, there's overpopulation of businesses. There's too many businesses chasing all the customers that there are available. And they're all therefore underserving you as customers because there's inefficiency with overpopulation. No one business has enough business to have a significant share of market enough to lower their costs enough so that they can offer you the best possible prices. Now, I know I discussed in my earlier video on the web page before this one, it seems like you're getting low prices in some instances. You have to realize, though, that these are very big companies that are offering these low prices. But their low prices are not generally across the board. They're designed to get you in that store, in that chain store, in that locale store that they disperse these big stores across cities, populations, where you get you into the store because you see low prices compared to maybe some other places. And the same thing is going on online. So it crosses over. But you have to realize that the businesses can't operate at a high profit margin based on their investment if they're offering the lowest prices in the sense of their operating costs associated with the goods they're selling. Now, I know this is deep, but if you follow through your common sense, it tells you that big businesses have higher expenses. Would that make sense to you? Sure. And when they have higher expenses, they have to have a way to get enough volume sales to cover those expenses, still make a profit. Now, the news today, right today, August, this is the 29th of August, the news is that there's some big companies that are doing so well. Well, sure, they're doing well because of various factors that are driving the economy today that weren't present 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years ago when we had a wet blanket thrown over our economy through poor management of our executive branch of government. So you've got a situation where you're hearing songs of glee in terms of how well things are, and then you've got the people that are trying to throw a wet blanket on the fact that things are well by saying that there's a crash coming, blah blah blah. There's always the negative content that wants to knock down the success of someone who is showing the courage of leadership in our federal government, executive branch. So getting back to this video, now what you have to understand about how my program works is that I involve great numbers of people with very small amounts of money that end up providing the funding to do the necessary marketing and to do the necessary functions of the marketing that are associated with getting to reach out to a large number of people. And I concentrate them all down on each case by zip codes. That's where the people are. That's where the customers are. That's where the businesses are. And so that's where the focus is on all of my efforts. But it doesn't matter what zip code you live in my program. It's designed that way, though, so that you can go on the internet and you can find the zip code you live, and that will show you on that web page where all the best programs are for you, for your benefit. And if you use your common sense and you see what's available, you'll understand that you can't get those benefits from franchise stores or for any other independent stores in the categories that are comparative to my approved customers that are in those categories or subcategories if they're restaurants. Now, there's a lot of things involved here. There's a lot of moving parts to what I'm talking about. But if you look at the graphics on the web pages and follow them carefully and give your common sense to them, you'll see that the benefits are there for you that you can't get at the other stores. And the addition to the savings that you're going to be able to have for yourself, plus the other benefits related to drone fly acres for recreational drone flying for your family or people who just want to be able to fly drones legally in spaces where they don't have to worry about breaking the law because it's on private land. You'll see you get free passes. You'll see that you can take that option, or you can take the cash benefits, whatever, on discounts for the purchasing at my approved businesses in zip codes or carrier route cities or neighborhood cities. Again, that's where the people are. That's where the customers are. That's where the businesses are. That's why I focus it on that basis for you. I don't. The big tech, the big search engines, they show you all the advanced. When you put in restaurants, yeah, they show you all the restaurants. But it doesn't matter which one of those restaurants you go to; they're all pricing you the same. And if you're talking about the price model that's used by the independent businesses, you're talking about price gouging. And why do I say that? Because the franchises, people think this is a pejorative term. It's not a pejorative term. It's a factual term. They price gouge you at franchise stores. And the reason I know that's true is because, and you can check it out yourself, they have to pay, any franchise business has to pay a certain percentage of every dollar they take in, every sale, they have to pay that to the franchise companies. And then they have to add all their business costs on top of that. And then they have to add on all the other the variable costs on that, and then they still have to make a profit. So the bottom line is that top 30%, and it varies from 30% generally, more than what the other independent stores that are in the same categories of businesses could charge, but they don't because they don't have a number of different brand stores. They only have one. So they use the same price model, which means they price gouge you as well. But when you go to my approved businesses by categories in your zip code where you live or where you work, my category of businesses don't have those expenses. And I educate them on the idea that when customers come to them because they can get things from them that give them savings up to from 30 to 50%, that they can't get at the franchise stores or the other independent stores in their category. More customers come to their businesses, and that means their sales rise, even though their discounts are higher than they typically are getting today. After their members, their discounts raise higher, but so does their top line. It goes up, 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 up. And so the net result is by getting more customers without spending a lot of money, they're not spending any more money, generally speaking. My business plan costs $30 a year and $9 a week. $9 a week. And that money is used on a very strict budget, and it's guaranteed. It's audited by a CPA, and a CPA audit is published online. to show each one of the categories of where that money is spent. And the business plan is designed under my concept of capitalism zero profit, or all the membership money that comes in by written agreement is written. The written agreement says all that money will be used to return to the group and is spent for the promoting of the approved group. And the CPA audit verifies that. So you have a certification, a validation by the business that they're getting the agreement that is stated, that it's being fulfilled and lived up to, and the customers realize that because of the prices and the benefits they're getting, they can't get from other franchise stores or other independent stores in that category in where they live and where they work in their cities. The benefits are there, and that's why I call it customer sharing. Okay, it's a sharing because the customers are the most important. The businesses serve the customers, but without the customers, there is no business. So you got the two work together. Now, how does this all come together with Crowd Selling USA? Crowd Selling USA is my concept that I developed to shine the light on the fraud of crowdfunding. Now, you hear a lot about crowdfunding, and it's a big fraud. It's a big con game, in my opinion. Because I say this because it's designed by big tech operations that can build these big crowdfunding websites, and they're supported by the news because it's a feel good story. Okay, in other words, somebody comes up with an idea, and everybody likes the idea, so they spud in a little bit of money. A lot of people spud in a little bit of money, and so they get these companies that are able to advertise their particular startup business that's so good, that's a feel-good kind of a thing, or an out-of-the-way kind of a quirky idea that happens to have some benefits, and people like the idea, and the ones that do, they spud in a little bit of money, and then that money is grouped together, and then that is what is used to start the business. It's most of those people don't have any long-term business experience, marketing experience. And so anything they do get in that way is either gained by having investors come in with the experience and then put more money in. But that's all after the fact. That's all after you people, customers, have spudded in because they happen to like the feel-good business startup that is being advertised. Now, why do I specify advertised in crowdfunding? Well, because the crowdfunding website is designed to make money for the people that own the website. It's a concept of selling the idea of people starting up a business and getting other people to give you the money to start their business. I call it tin cup funding. Okay, in other words, the people that want to go on these crowdfunding websites, they expect you to give them money so they can start a business because they've got a feel-good idea or some quirky idea that they think is great, and they can influence your thinking by a flashy ad that they buy to get on the feature section of crowdfunding. The thousands or hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other free registrations of the business idea that people have that can't afford to buy the featured ads. Nobody sits around and takes the time to go through those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds to find one that they like, because when they go to those websites, they're directed to the featured ones that the people that pay to be in that position, that want to get you to give them money to start their business. That's how the people that own those crowdfunding websites make money. Because they're selling, marketing, and advertising, and the result is that they know that the quirky ideas and this feel-good idea of helping a little fledgling company start up because they happen to like the idea. If you want to do that, hey, have at it. But the idea of getting a business started is not from somebody giving you a handout. The idea of starting a business is a capitalist idea. You take the capital that you have and you invest it and you take the risk. Not. You don't expect your customers that supposedly are going to be your customers after you start your business to take the risk by investing in. Now, if you want to talk about buying stocks, that's a whole different story. You buy stocks in a corporation, you're legally entitled to a piece of the profits. Okay, not some little gift trinket that they give you because you sput it into their tin cup ask for to get their money together to start their business. The other side of it is that to start up a business without any provision for marketing the business or moving that business to the next phase, which requires more investment in order to get more sales to advance the growth of the company, that's never ever a part of the crowdfunding startup. That all comes in what they call the taking the business to the next level. What happens there? You have big time investors come in and buy percentages in those businesses, and that waters down the profit for the owners, but it allows the business supposedly to advance. Whether it does or not, it depends a lot on a lot of factors. But even if it does grow, even if it does advance, the idea that you as the customer who are buying goods and services from companies like that, the idea is you're having to pay a higher price. And if you don't believe me, look at some of the quirky ideas and the things that they're on there trying to sell that are in that second phase. You go to those websites and you go to those companies and you try to buy whatever they're selling. I'll guarantee you better pucker up because you're going to spend some money to get what they're selling. And the reason that's true is because they've got to take 30% or whatever it is, 15%, 10%, 50% of that income and pay it out to investors who put the money in to allow them to get to that stage where they could sell in that kind of volume. With my program, it's altogether different. The focus is all crowd selling. USA starts selling from day one, and it sells the idea of the fact that when you invest in this marketing, advertising, associates, membership program that a business is involved in with me and my business plan that has a guarantee of paying all the money they pay to get in to return to them and is audited by a CPA and published online so that it's certified and validated, so the customers know and the businesses know that all the money is being spent in the most efficient way, driving the lowest possible prices. That's capitalism, zero profit is what's desperately needed on the street today because of overpopulation and underutilization of businesses. That's driving all the high costs of up to 50% more than it should be, okay? And the reason I know that's true is because you go into the low-income zip codes in the United States, and that's about half of them. The people have been forced into those low-income zip codes because of the fact of overpopulation and underutilization. The minute you go out of the higher income zip codes, this is important. Catch on to this, learn this, study this, realize the common sense of this. You see tremendous amounts of business on every corner. The commercial property costs are just sky high. If you want to get a good location out in the higher zip codes there, you better pucker up. You're going to have to pay through the nose if you want to get a store, lease a store, build a store in those high income zones. And that's the design because the developers plan it that way because they're making a profit on taking that land and developing it and developing these stores and then leasing them out. The high cost of leasing for businesses is driving the selling price in those areas. Don't you understand that? And you go into the low income zip codes where half of the population lives. You don't see many of those stores, do you? Drive around. Take a Sunday afternoon and drive around in those low income zip codes. Half of those, you don't see all those businesses that you see out in the high income. and and those people that live there aren't spending all that money because of the fact that their prices are higher than what they have available in their disposable. All of that is solved with my program. Everybody's on an equal footing. Everybody pays the same price, the lowest possible price, and because when you go to when everybody goes to the stores that are approved by my business plan, there is no overcharging. There is no excess overutilization, over population or underutilization, because each one of the businesses are able to sell things at prices and offer benefits for customer participation at their approved business that it can't be received from the other business, and the other businesses can't follow because of their high costs. So if they try to follow at the same prices, they go out of business. They can't make their usual over price gouging result of ending up in a profit for them in their operations. So crowdfunding simply is a matter of where when projects to start businesses are developed by business owners who are part of my marketing advertising membership associates program approved in their category, they offer projects to their customers. And together, all of those businesses and all those customers can choose to put a small amount of money into those businesses' projects to start them up, one of which is Skyway's Drone Acres. Okay, drone fly acres, and there's others. I won't take the time in this video to go into them, but then what the result is when you start out and you're as a customer, you don't get some trinket to be part of crowd selling. You register and you put in that small amount of money, and that entitles you then to purchase whatever that product or service is at the business cost. Okay, which means you're going to save anywhere up to 50% on your purchasing for those products and services. Or you're going to get a service that you can't get, that you want, that you can't get from other stores, because my Drone Fly Acres and Drone Skyway is exclusive. So you can't go anywhere else and fly a recreational drone legally, and in a setting that doesn't restrict you to some and take the chance of being illegal if you do. You haven't cracked down on this yet, but trust me, they will crack down on it because how do I know this? I know this because the federal government has said, oh, you can fly a recreational drone. You don't even need a license. Well, listen, you don't need a license. But when you start looking at what you can do and what you can't do to fly a recreational drone without a license, you just, forget about having any real fun or any real recreation. Even the cities now are passing laws that you can't even fly them in public parks that your taxes support. And they cite all kinds of reasons why. And all this is being set up, I believe, for some future move on the part of investors, big companies like your theme parks, where they'll develop a recreational flying of drones, so people can go and fly drones recreationally, legally, because of the space involved. They're not flying over people, and they're flying below 500, 400 feet, and so on and so forth. And then they'll have all kinds of other things to attract you from a marketing standpoint that cause you to want to go there and have fun, so to speak. Well, fantastic. Let them do that. But you better pucker up. Have you figured out what it costs to go to a theme park lately? Well, pucker up if you're going to go to a big business theme park that allows you to fly drones recreational. Pucker up, because you're going to pay through the nose to have that kind of fun and recreation. And if you got that kind of money and you don't mind being forced to pay exorbitant prices in order to take advantage to fly your little recreational drone, have at it. I'm all for you. But most people aren't in that position. And why would they want to? Because they can get free passes, family passes, and free passes to go to my drone fly acres, drone skyways close to their city to fly their drones legally on private land. Okay. So crowdfunding then is the real way to start businesses without what I call the tin cup begging for money to start a business. Watch my plan closely.